We talk a lot about emotions around here, and that's because, obviously, our emotions and our experience of our emotions as human beings make up such a big part of our human experience. Now, some people might say that we are rational beings that can sometimes be emotional. I tend to think that we are emotional beings that can sometimes be rational. And now, emotions are not right or wrong or good or bad. Emotions typically are information that we can take a step back and get curious about when we are experiencing different emotions. And that's a big part of becoming more emotionally intelligent. So the goal is not to never experience any of our emotions, or at least not the difficult ones. We don't become whole, complete beings by only ever experiencing half our feelings, just, the positive, happy, good ones. We have to create space for all of them. But of course, the goal is to not get stuck in the ones that are causing us problems, that are holding us back, that are creating distance in our relationships, that are making us fearful to not do things that are actually not unsafe, but just stepping out and stepping into life and experiencing more in life and experimenting more in life. And so we really want to be looking at learning how to manage our emotions, not stop us from ever feeling the difficult, painful, uncomfortable, quote unquote, negative emotions, but just get better at becoming more emotionally intelligent with whatever experience we are having when we are here being human. So today we are going to talk about emotional intelligence. I have talked about it here before, but haven't really broken it down specifically into the specific three parts of what make up emotional intelligence. Now, these three parts are quite simple, but I don't want you to be like, oh yeah, that's simple. But then you go off and you start trying to do these three things. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I can't do this. Give yourself patience, give yourself time. It takes practice. It takes getting support. It takes really kind of like putting things into play on a daily basis and really using these tools that I'm going to teach you today. And over time, you will become more emotionally intelligent. So these concepts are simple, but they're actually also really deep. So give yourself, obviously, compassion and kindness and gentleness as you work to become more emotionally intelligent. And that is a big part of becoming emotionally intelligent, is learning how to be more gentle with ourselves, be more accepting of our experience, which we're going to talk about in just a minute here. If you are new here, welcome to our incredible little channel on the internet. Take a second, introduce yourself in the comment section below. If you're back again, always good to have you. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. The button's about right down there. If you get something on the video, if I could ask you to like it, that would be amazing. And yeah, either way, my name is Kristina, and I am a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the creator of my amazing membership community, which so many of you here are a part of, the Shift Society, where we are taking this work to a deeper level. You are being supported the whole way through by me, the other shifters. There's accountability, there's coaching, there's high kind of involvement in that group so that you don't have to be flailing around trying to figure this out on your own. You can get more information about the Shift Society in the description below. I help heart-centered humans break through the crap. Let me try that again. I help heart-centered humans break through the crap that is holding them back so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And a lot of that crap that can get in our way is unhelpful emotions. Now, I said before, there's no such thing as a right or wrong emotion, but our emotions can get in our way. They can, like I said, prevent us from connection, prevent us from creativity, prevent us from community, prevent us from experiencing and experimenting and living life more fully when we get stuck in them. Not just when they come up, because all the emotions come up for all of us as humans, but when we get stuck in them, we spiral down in them, when we become unconscious to them and just sort of let them take over without becoming conscious to them and learning how to manage them. And that's what emotional intelligence is. It's becoming conscious to our human experience and moving with and through whatever it is without attaching so tightly to it, without clinging so tightly. And for some of you that might totally connect, and for some of you are like, what is she talking about? Well, I hope that it makes a little bit more sense as we go through these three main parts of what emotional intelligence is and it starts to come together for you. So the first part of becoming more emotionally intelligent, or the first part of emotional intelligence is being comfortable with the full range of emotions. I touched on that just briefly a few minutes ago when talking about there's no such thing as a right or wrong or a good or bad emotion. There's just human emotions. Now, how we interact with those emotions can be limiting, can create problems, can hold us back, can definitely get in our way. But the emotion itself is just part of being human. So understanding that all emotions are part of life, all emotions are part of being human, and learning how to just be gentler with ourselves when we are experiencing whatever emotion it is. Being able to say whatever I feel is okay. Now, I might not like it. I might not want to cozy up to feeling like jealous or angry or impatient. I maybe don't want to like become best friends with that emotion and just like invite it in and, kind of just like cuddle with it all day or whatever. But just being able to say, it's okay. This is part of my human experience. This is what's happening right now. Because what happens is often we resist our emotions. We say, this isn't okay. I shouldn't feel this way. I have to get over this. This is so awful. I can't believe I'm having to deal with this. I need to get past this as quickly as possible. I just got to shove it aside, right? And then we don't actually deal with it. We avoid it. We repress it. And then it doesn't actually get dealt with. And we know what happens when we avoid and repress our emotions. They come out in other ways, when we don't actually just sort of create space for it. Now, I'm not saying again that you have to like it and sit in it. And for some of you, especially if you've experienced trauma, it might be really difficult for you to just like sit with emotions. And so I'm not asking you to just sit and feel your emotions, because for some of you that might be extremely painful. And we're not going for extremely painful. A little bit of discomfort is okay. Right? Some discomfort as we're moving through an emotion, that's normal. But if you're like starting to dissociate, if you're starting to completely shut down, if you're just sort of allowing these emotions and you start to, like I said, dissociate or shut down, then that's not good. Right? So then perhaps you need to be working with someone to do some grounding exercises. You need to be processing some of that trauma and just getting some healing from that. But I'm talking about just when a difficult feeling comes up, just being able to say, like, this is not good or bad. It's just what's happening. It's okay. I'm okay right now. I am a human being having an emotional experience, and I am okay. And it's okay to be having whatever feeling I'm feeling. Not to say that I'm necessarily right. If that person said that thing, then I am right to say that they are awful and I'm so angry and I'm so mad. I'm not saying that, right? But you know what I mean. So just being able to say, this is a human experience I'm having in this moment, which then moves us to the second part of emotional intelligence, and that is that open-hearted acceptance. So like I just mentioned, we can't move through and deal with something if we're not willing to accept that it exists in the first place. Right? So I'm not saying you have to love it, that you have to feel great about it, but just acknowledging it. Just being able to say right or wrong, good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, helpful or unhelpful, this is what I'm feeling right now. Because if I don't do that, if I say I can't feel this way, I shouldn't feel this way, this is awful to feel this way, then again, I'm creating that resistance. And as soon as we start to create resistance with our emotions, they start to push back even harder. And you've experienced that, I'm sure. If, let me know in the comment section, if you've ever been feeling a feeling like you've been feeling sad, you've been feeling hurt, you've been feeling angry, you've been feeling jealous, and you don't like that feeling. And then you start saying to yourself, okay, I just need to stop feeling this way. Just stop feeling this way. I just got to get rid of this feeling. I just got to stop feeling this way immediately. And I want to ask you how well that worked. And I'm going to guess, unless you're some kind of, sub kind of derivative of human that can actually do that and it works, it didn't work. It didn't work for you because you can't just tell yourself to stop feeling a feeling. You can't just yell at yourself or judge yourself or get mad at yourself and think that a feeling is going to pass by and go away. What's usually going to happen is we're going to create something called a secondary emotion, where we're going to be judging ourselves for feeling that feeling. So I'm going to be feeling jealous, and then I'm going to be feeling angry at myself for feeling jealous. Just, why are you getting upset? Why are you getting angry? Why are you feeling jealous? You're so weak. You're so pathetic. You're such a loser, right? And we create all this judgment around that feeling, and then we get stuck in it. Instead of being able to say right or wrong, good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, helpful or unhelpful, what I'm experiencing right now is jealousy. And if I want to be able to deal with this jealousy and move through this jealousy, I have to acknowledge and accept that this is the experience that I'm having right now. This is the emotion that's coming up with me right now. Which brings us into the third aspect of emotional intelligence, which is you are developing ways to soothe and settle unpleasant emotions. So this isn't shoving them aside. This isn't judging yourself for having them. This isn't rejecting the emotion altogether. This is ways of soothing yourself, of soothing the emotions, knowing that we all experience difficult or disturbing emotions. It's just part of being human. But the more we are able to soothe ourselves in the midst of it, and like I mentioned briefly at the beginning, getting curious about those emotions, seeing human emotions as information. If we just neutrally say this emotion that I'm experiencing right now in a neutral way, if I can address it in a neutral way and say it's just information, it's telling me that something has been triggered, something has been hit, something is coming up for me in this moment. I'm having a reaction to something. What is going on? What's coming up for me? If we use that emotions as information that something is coming up, then it's going to be helpful. And then we can look at, what am I thinking? What's going on with me? Why am I having this experience? What did I make that mean? What did that experience when that person cut me off in traffic and I got really angry? Why did I get angry? Why did that bother me so much? Was I thinking that, they think that they're better than me and they think that they can just drive however they want, and that's so rude and that's so breaking the human decency code? How dare they do that? And that's why I'm getting angry? So then we get curious about that. Okay, so those are the thoughts that I'm having in this moment. That's interesting. And then we are able to kind of process through that and be like, okay, you know what? Some people just do things that are inconsiderate. I've done it too. I'm not super happy about it, but getting all into a rage and honking my horn and shaking my fist, it's probably not going to help the situation. I'm allowed to acknowledge that I don't like that bothers me, but I'm just going to, not get into an accident or trying to run them off the road or just do something like that. I'm just going to be like, you know what? Not going to let it ruin my day. That person was just doing what they needed to do. I don't have to get involved. This isn't personal. They don't even know me. Just leave it. Right? Or whatever it is that you need to self-soothe, that you need to talk yourself through something. If you're like, you know what, I just got this, my boss just said that presentation and that proposal that I submitted, that there was a bunch of things that needed to be reworked, there's a bunch of things that I need to look at again, and, I'm feeling really discouraged, I'm feeling disappointed, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling like a failure, right? And so I'm I notice that I'm feeling like a failure, I notice I'm feeling really down right now. Why am I feeling so down? Oh, because my boss had feedback that didn't feel good. Because I worked really hard on this and I didn't get the feedback that I wanted. But then I can look at it and I can soothe myself and be like, it's understandable that you're feeling discouraged right now. It's understandable that you're feeling frustrated right now. You put a lot of work into that. And then be able to remind ourselves that okay, this probably isn't personal because my boss just wants this to be a really good job and there are some things that I missed, and that's fair. I'm not perfect. I can't always know exactly how to do things perfectly every time. So I can take this back and I can I implement their suggestions, and that's just part of my job. And I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to learn how to do it better for next time, or whatever that is, right? Or I can go and sit in my friend at work, and we can just go and sit and have a little bit of a vent session and kind of just get over it and be like, we have this nitpicky boss or whatever, and this kind of sucks, but this is part of it, and whatever, we just got to do it, and that's part of working here, and it's kind of annoying, but, having a little vent about it and then getting back to work. So just being gentle with yourself, not getting locked in these emotions, not kind of going around over and over and over again, and that ruminating, that perseverating, that just like, kind of just getting in there and really just like, fondling these emotions and being like, okay, I'm feeling all these things and I'm just going to keep feeling them and I'm just going to keep spiraling myself down into them and I'm just going to keep, replaying things and making myself feel miserable. I'm going to soothe myself in them. I'm going to learn ways to move through them, to process them, to change my perspective about things so that I can see things differently, so that I can feel things differently. And I'm going to work on that. And that is such a big part of the work that we do in the Shift Society, is learning how to process emotions, learning what emotions are, learning how to process our emotions, learning how to manage our thoughts, because we know that our thoughts create our emotions, and then just learning how to manage our thoughts without just having to think positive and be grateful and, basically bypass all of our emotions, but learning how to think more responsibly, learning how to manage our emotions more effectively. That is what we do in the Shift Society. You can get more information about that in the description below. And also, I have something free for you. I have my 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise. And as I talked about in the beginning, we really want to be working on not clinging so tightly to our emotions, but holding them a little bit more loosely and just learning how to observe them as an experience and as information. Instead of, getting so caught up in them and letting them just sort of take over and ruin our hour, ruin our day, ruin our week sometimes. Yeah. So grab that 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise. That's free. You can download it and start listening to it now. That's going to teach you a really essential skill for learning how to not get so caught up in our emotions and letting them take over. So 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise. Get on the wait list for the Shift Society. And our 3 ways to become more emotionally intelligent again, number 1, getting more comfortable with the full range of emotions. Number 2, learning how to accept and acknowledge whatever it is that we're feeling. And then number 3 is learning ways to soothe and settle unpleasant emotions. And I gave you a couple strategies in here. And again, the mindfulness exercise is going to help with that as well. And obviously, the Shift Society is going to change your entire relationship with your emotions and with your thoughts and with whatever it is that is getting in your way, holding you back or bringing you down, so you can feel better, live better, experience better, have better. Get on the wait list for that. Always good to have you here. Would love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, take good care of yourselves. Take good care of those around you. Bye for now.